my scrappy friends, this is Hannah. This is an older layout that I made a while ago, but I still have the footage, so I want to get this up so you guys can see me doing this process. This is going to be a double page layout, and this is using the Malama kit from Clique Kits, and this was in March that we had this kit. So this is, well, this paper is actually from the Good Vibes collection, but the Malama kit had a lot of Paige Evans stuff. So I also got the paper pack, like extra papers from that, so that I would have more than enough papers. So that made making a double page layout really simple. So right now I'm just kind of cutting some papers, figuring out what I want to do to layer them. I really like to use some kind of white on one of the sides if I can. So this one has a lot of white, but I do really like that water paper with the sailboats on it, and it makes me think of traveling. And this photo, even though there really is no traveling involved in the layout, it is an ancestry type of layout. So if you guys don't know, if you don't follow my channel very closely, I do a lot of ancestry research, and I've done a lot of genealogy stuff, and I really like to translate that into layouts. So right now, I know you guys aren't seeing really what I'm doing. I'm stitching with my sewing machine, so I didn't cut all this out. It's hard to tell sometimes when I'm doing my editing if it's really like a long period of time. It's not. So when it seems like I'm not really gone for a really long time, I won't just like chop it up my video, because I do like to keep as much of the process in as possible. I know it makes the videos a little bit longer for you guys, but it makes it a little bit easier for you guys to really see what I'm doing, even though you can't really see that I'm doing the stitching. But I did put stitching around the edges and in the middle where that paper, and I really like how it looks like kind of distress from me ripping and stuff, but then you also get quite a bit of white, so it makes it not seem so vintage in that look. Now, by adding this paper from the lined paper from Good Vibes, you get a little bit of that creamy feel. But I also want to add some of these papers that I had on the other side, because even though they go together in the album, they're still not going to be touching, but I do want them to look like they go together, right? I mean, that's kind of how it works. And sometimes it's kind of hard to get it to be exactly like that when you are using different collections and they're not right next to each other. So yeah. And I know I had a hard time really deciding exactly how I wanted this to look. I really liked that paper with the lines, and I wasn't sure if I wanted to cut it up and how I wanted to do it, but I really thought that would go so well with it and really make it look. So I'm gonna cut this. And also, one of the things that I'm thinking about is that I knew I wanted to add something to this layout to be able to add the actual history element of it without having to put it all on there, because like there is a lot to this layout story. There's just a lot to the story, right? So, and this is a layout about a story. So it's about these sisters, the Tuttle sisters, and they're part of my family, and that it's super crazy. And I came across some documents that some of it was pieced together, I think, but basically telling these different things that happened with the sisters. And it really was 3 sisters, but 2 of the main sisters had some really big issues. And so being able to print off the document in history from online and just stick it in there. Someone could read it if they wanted to know more. But I didn't need to put the whole story right on there, right? I mean, maybe it would have been cool. But so I'm kind of creating this pocket. So I have the white and I did stitching. And so I really want to make sure that this is going to be able to stay in there. And, the paper in the end. So that's kind of what I'm doing, and I keep going back and forth. So it's kind of hard to see exactly, but I keep going back and forth because I want to make sure that I can fit it in, and because I know that I'm going to need to at the end. And this is just the process that I did it in. I think that for anybody who wanted to create a pocket, there's tons of different ways that you could do it. Or you could just put it in a page protector next to it. I mean, I guess it really didn't have to be all that complicated, but I wanted to hide it, but also be able, you'll see it's not completely hidden in the end. So I really love these rich colors, and it kind of did remind me a lot of the rich colors that you see when you think of this time period, because this is a very long time ago, hundreds of years ago, when our country was still in its beginnings. So these two sisters lived, oh gosh, I should have taken out my layout so I could tell you exactly what year it was, but it was around when Connecticut was still very young of a state, and so their dad was really important in the state also, and so he was one of like the founders of Connecticut, I think. um and back then things were really, really strict religiously, and so and because of his high standing, I think it just put a lot of pressure on the family. A lot of the the story of these two sisters, like, you can see how their need to act a certain way just created them not to. You could see their spunk in the stories of wanting to be themselves, but knowing that they had to fit into the society's box of women. And I just thought it would be really fun to highlight family members that were just different. And sometimes you think your problems are crazy, and then you read stuff like this and you go, man. Okay, so back to what I am actually creating. So I am working on adding pieces from on one side to the other side. So I'm really trying to make sure that there's elements on both sides that are really similar. And I like having those strips of paper with the washi tape and just kind of having them in a little bit of a different area, but just creating lots of layers and stuff like that. So here is that sheet, but now it's away. Now I'm going to add the title, and that doily, I believe that was in our kit. I think it was cut out. I think Erica cut those out for everyone, and it was in our kit. So if I remember correctly, it was really cool. It was really pretty. So I'm going to label it Sarah and Mercy. Those are the two main sisters. And like I said, one of the sisters got in trouble legally for kissing a man that she was not betrothed to. She was engaged to someone else, and so she was caught. I don't really know the extent of the kiss, but it went to court, and yet she still married the other guy. Or she was forced to marry him. I don't really know, but anyway, and then Mercy, and so both of them had some mental health issues. So I will just say that knowing your family history and knowing your family, I think, can help you understand yourself. And so seeing how the just their lives and how much stress they were under and how it caused them to have a lot of issues and some unresolved stuff. And and seeing how they handled it, I definitely think can give you clarity on how you should handle things. So, if I guess I just want to put a disclaimer. If you know that people in your family have issues with dealing with stress, make sure that you take that and heed it, and make sure that you take the appropriate measures to get help if you need help, um, and ask for help when you need help. So, because both of these ladies their lives ended um, in not so fun ways. So, um, yeah, if you want to know a little bit more about this, I will make sure that I post in the info section where you can read my blog post, because I talk a little bit about that. But so I didn't have a real picture of either Mercy or Sarah, which is not surprising because it is from a very long time ago. And so I just went online and I found um, a picture of around the same time period and what women wore. And I just use that. I mean, it really doesn't matter what they look like because I have their stories. And I think it's really important to highlight the stories that you think you want to remember. And I know, like in my family, we are big storytellers, and it is kind of important for us to keep these stories alive. So I don't mind being the family historian. So this other side, I'm going to put hashtag family. And I'm going to put some stuff on the inside of each of those little 2x2 squares. So I really struggled with making sure I had enough embellishments, but ones that kind of went with what the story that I was telling. Like I wanted it to be pretty, and I think this is the thing that you deal with when you're using a kit and you're doing a specific type of story, is that sometimes you have only certain elements. And in the end, it came together really well because I was able to take stuff that I had bought from the store. So definitely make sure you add on to your kits as much as you can, like the stuff that you know that you would use and that can help make your stories better. So I'm going to add some of these florally pieces because I think that this is going to help brighten up a story and a layout that is actually really very sad, because both of these sisters died. Like I said, they died and because of like some postpartum issues and like mental issues um, and stuff like that. But I still wanted their story told. I felt like they kind of were, you know, um, if only they had lived nowadays, they would have been able to get the help that they needed. And that's, I think, what's the sad part is that, they kind of were stuck in this position of being in a different time where people didn't get women help after having kids and having a stressful life and demands, and they just kind of fortunately Sarah and Mercy went a little crazy, but you know but anyway, so I am trying to make this a fun and happy layout because I am trying to represent my family, and tell these stories of people who, even though maybe they had a hard life, like I said, they weren't represented well. So on this piece of paper, I am going to add a little bit of stuff because I want to make this feel a little pretty too. But I'm going to put a tag on there too, like a label tag. So you're going to see me do that in a second. I'm going to use the rub-ons, and I'm going to put it on a white piece of paper and slip it right on the inside. I think that makes for a really fun way to be able to see that label. So yay for being able to use the rub-ons, right? Those are my hardest things to use. So in a minute, you're going to see the close-ups of this. I really did keep it pretty simple because, yeah, I didn't want to overdo this layout. And there's a lot of journaling that I did do on the top too. So in those lines, I did actually use my own handwriting. I felt like that would really make this feel like authentic, having my own handwriting on there. And I think that's just one of those things that is personal to every person. So if you feel like typing your stuff is better, then go ahead and do that. So here's kind of what it looks like all together, little bits and pieces of stuff. I did use those puffy stickers from My Mind's Eye, which were really fun. And I use a lot of the little pieces from Fancy Pants too. So yeah, I really like how it turned out. It turned out really well, and I was able to talk about the sisters and all that good stuff. So I will see you guys later. I hope you guys have a great scrappy week. Definitely make sure you look below, and you can find out some of the things that I used. And I will see you guys later. Have a great week.